If you try to nail down the one single story of a country as complex and vibrant as Pakistan, you're facing a huge challenge. We're talking about a land with ancient history, so many different cultures, and more than 240 million people, and every single one has their own story. So where do you even start?
And that's really the big question we're diving into here. Is the story of a nation written in its history books? Is it in its politics? Or maybe, just maybe, you find it in the everyday lives of its people, in the food they share and the stories they pass down?
Well, the way we're going to tackle this is by looking at it not as one single story, but through 10 different lenses. Think of them as 10 unique ways of seeing, 10 different angles that help us piece together a much richer, more complete picture. Okay, let's get into it.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to start by listening to the echoes of the past, then dive into the People's Chronicles, feel the pulse of today, and wrap it all up by asking, what story is next?
First up, let's go back in time to really get a handle on the present. You see, the story of modern Pakistan doesn't just kick off in 1947. No way. Its roots go deep, thousands of years deep, and you can still feel those echoes today. We're going to zoom out to look at the massive timeline of the region, then zoom in on its political journey, and then get really personal with the stories that marked its birth.
And wow, when you look at this timeline, the first thing that hits you is just the sheer scale of it all. This story stretches from one of the world's very first urban civilizations in the Indus Valley, all the way through the incredible artistry of the Mughal Empire, the colonial era under British rule, and then, finally, to the creation of the modern state. This isn't just some new story, it's an ancient one.
And if we zoom in on that modern state, looking at it through the lens of elections through the ages, really shows us the nation's often turbulent but always evolving democratic journey. It helps us track those pivotal moments, those critical choices that have really shaped the country's path.
But, history isn't just about the big stuff, right? It's not just empires and elections. It's also deeply, deeply personal. And that's where a lens like the Partition Diaries is just so powerful. It shifts the focus away from the grand political stage to the human experience, to the individual families, the personal losses, the private memories locked away in letters and diaries from 1947.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. A history book can give you the skeleton, the facts, but it's these personal accounts that give you the heartbeat. They're a powerful reminder that these huge historical events are really just made up of millions of individual human stories. You absolutely need both views to get it.
All right, so let's shift gears a bit. We're moving from the formal lines of history to the living, breathing culture of the nation. This is what we're calling the People's Chronicles.
In this section, we're going to explore how different cultures have blended together. We'll look at some classic legends, and we'll even explore the stories told through food.
I really love this slide because it shows two totally fascinating ways to get a feel for a culture. On one side, you have the legends of Pakistan. That's the stuff of imagination, the myths and folktales that capture a people's spirit. And on the other, you have the Culinary Chronicles, which is all about something you can actually touch and taste. The street food, the family recipes, the real, tangible traditions.
So what does a comparison like this tell us? Well, it shows that a nation's identity, its soul really, it's built from both its dreams and its daily bread. It's shaped by the fantastical stories you whisper at night and the very real recipes you share in the kitchen.
And all of this, all these different threads, they all get woven together at what we're calling a cultural crossroads. See, Pakistan's identity isn't just one thing. It's this incredibly rich tapestry made from countless influences, the spiritual poetry of Sufism, the stunning architecture of the Mughals, and the unique traditions of so many indigenous communities. Every single thread adds another layer of beauty and complexity.
Okay, so we've looked at the past, we've looked at the culture. Now let's fast forward to today. Our last set of lenses looks right at the pulse of modern Pakistan, a nation that's really being defined by how it faces challenges and how it drives for change.
We're going to touch on stories of resilience, the incredible growth in tech, and the legacy of some amazing female trailblazers.
So when we look at women who changed Pakistan, it's impossible to ignore the impact across every part of society. This isn't some small side story, it is absolutely central. From politics to the arts to social work, the contributions of women are a fundamental piece of the nation's modern story.
And at the exact same time, you've got this incredible story of forward momentum happening in technology. The tech transformations lens shows this clear, exciting progression from those first innovations to this explosion of entrepreneurial growth to really becoming an emerging tech hub. This is a story about the future being built as we speak.
And finally, we have what might be one of the most defining stories of modern Pakistan, crisis and resilience. The real narrative here isn't just about the challenges themselves, and there have been many, from natural disasters to economic struggles. No, the story is about the response. It's about the strength of communities that come together to rebuild and overcome, again and again.
Okay, so we've looked through all these different lenses, historical, cultural, and contemporary. What does it all add up to? How do we start weaving all these different threads together?
I think this chart just says it all, really. The story of Pakistan isn't just one of these slices. It's not only its history or only its culture, it's a mosaic. And every single piece, the past, the people, the future, is totally essential to seeing the whole picture. Each lens just gives us a different color, a different texture in that mosaic.
And that right there brings us full circle. The story of a nation is never just one single, simple narrative. It's a messy, beautiful, complicated mosaic made up of all the stories we've touched on and millions more that are out there.
And that leaves us with one final and maybe the most important question. If a nation is just a constantly growing collection of stories, then the most exciting thing to ask isn't just what's been told, but what story is still out there just waiting to be told?